So I've been working as a Java developer for the past almost a whole year. And today I wanted to talk with you basically what you can expect when joining a new position as, for example, Java developer, as I did, and how your work will look like on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, so basically I just wanted to sit. I wrote a few things and just wanted to yap for 20 minutes without any editing. So if you are interested in that and you are interested to learning how your job could look like if you decide to become a Java developer in 2026, then this video is for you. But first of all, I wanted to talk who I am and why I actually decided to stick with Java because I was programming during university in many different languages, and so why I stick to Java? That seems like the most boring option you could choose in today's day and age. So let's start from the beginning. I'm Oscar, and I work as a Java developer in a huge corporation, basically like the biggest, I think, IT related company in Denmark. I obviously live in Poland and work in Poland, but I work for a Danish company. And yeah, I studied for like 3.5 years. I finished this year my bachelor's degree of computer science, and I still part time at least study for the master's degree. And basically, when I was still on the last semester on of the bachelor's degree, I got two offers actually, not one. I got two offers, but I decided to accept the offer of the company that I'm currently in, and so I was still working when I graduated. Sorry, not still, but before I graduated. And basically, in university, like the most of the curriculum was done using Java, or at least Java was like the default language. You could choose to do the projects, or that was used during the presentations and lectures. So basically, when I was I studied for it, like the whole course took 3.5 years, at least that's like the case for my university. And during the vacation before like the last semester, I was like thinking of yeah what I'm gonna do next, basically, because yeah, it's like end of the education. Of course, not exactly end because I'm still like doing the master's degree, but like it's the point in my life that I have to decide what I'm going to do next. And basically I was thinking like I already know Java pretty well because I was like for the past 3 years I was doing projects in Java. I was watching tutorials. I was doing projects, and I decided like, well, I'm gonna choose specialization and do a thesis in Java anyway. So why not to stick with it and like learn more technologies related to Java, like for example Spring Boot, and try to find a job and progress in life further. So I was like, yeah, I could go for C sharp because I done a lot of C sharp as well, but why to like switch context and learn something new when I already am pretty well know Java? So that was basically it. And then on during the last semester, I basically locked in for the 3 months of the vacation, and was sending my CV wherever I could. And basically, in I think it was October of 2025, I finally got offer after like 20 interview rounds in different companies. I think almost I got offer from this company, and then in December, because they wanted me to finish my like 3 months of trial when after I'm gonna graduate. So they knew that I'm gonna. I told them that I'm gonna graduate and in February, yeah, I think, and they wanted me to basically to extend the offer to get a full time offer. They wanted me to graduate first because that was like the top down top level requirement that they had. So basically, they like me enough to trust me that I'm gonna gonna pass and I'm gonna graduate. And I got this offer when I was still studying. So I joined in December, and I was pretty shocked actually. So, this was not totally not what I was expecting when I imagined myself working as a developer. So I joined a maintenance team actually. So I was when I joined, I was not working on any new features, but like fixing bugs mostly. And the thing about my project, I was I think pretty unlucky, but let me tell you something. I don't speak Danish before joining this company. I didn't know any word in Danish. I didn't watch any media in Danish. I almost know nothing about Denmark except that I was in Copenhagen like 10 years ago one time. And I know that there are a few actors in Hollywood that are Danish. That was basically all of the information I had. And the problem with this project is that I'm currently on, and I was a year ago, is that it's entirely in Danish. So the application, the client, the documentation for the project is in Danish. So, and this project is very, very complicated when it comes to like the business domain and the business logic. So business logic is basically like the rules of the like the project and the project requirements for the project and for the code. If you don't know this terminology, and basically for the first 4 months, I think I was trying to like get around this project, like even learn how to do basic things in this project. Like, okay, I think I can tell you this. This is basically uh, like the municipality pension system, something like that. I think that's how it translates to English. And basically, it's used by municipalities in Denmark to like manage all of the pensions that people have, and basically people can create cases that are then managed by our system, and we decide how much money they should get, or even if they should get this money, depending on what part of Denmark they live in and how old they are. Like, there's like million things basically there, and basically even getting to know like to know basic stuff there was pretty hard because of course the documentation was in Danish, and without AI, I would basically would be fucked basically there because AI, especially agentic AI, was able to help me like to navigate this documentation, like to translate the documents. And for this first few months, I was basically trying to understand the business domain. I was not doing anything complicated when it comes to coding, and like the all of the tasks I had to do on the maintenance team were basically, hey, for the next 10 hours, you'll try to replicate this issue that the municipality had. And basically, the fix will be to just, add a null check because there was like a null pointer exception that only happens after you complete these 30 steps that are basically super complicated, and you would have to ask your senior colleagues how to do each of them. And then if it's Tuesday of last week of the month, this issue will happen. Basically, that was like the first few months of me doing like anything, and it was like super tiring, super boring, and I was basically no, I can't take this anymore. If I got any other offer like right now, I would jump ships and basically went away. But I think this few months, looking for a hindsight, I'm very grateful for them because they gave me like a lot of humility, I think. And I was like, because until this point, of course, I did fairly big project because I was to practice, and I was trying to like learn open source and you know learn how big projects work before I got my first job. But even the biggest projects I did during the university were nothing next to this project. And basically, none of them had any complicated business domain because before studying, I like didn't know anything about any business and like any domain, so I couldn't like create project that would have anything complicated going on. So it was like basic crude applications. When it comes to Java, of course, because I was also like engaged in game development, so I participated in hackathons and like game jams, for example. But it was like totally not related to Java, and it was mostly done, of course, in C Sharp, in C++, and yeah. So basically, it gave me like humility that I not like super super developer that like deserves to be a senior on the entrance, because uh, I think that like the biggest project I did before that was made for a company. Actually, it was for my dad's company, and it was like a video service platform that was done in PHP, because that was basically the requirement. And it took me a few months to achieve it, because it was like AI was not really a big thing yet then. Of course, I used it, but it was like there was. I mean, agentic AI was already there. Like for example, tools like Cursor, but it was like not super popular to use agentic AI back then, and I really didn't trust for it, and I still don't, because after using it for some time, I think there's like programmers are never gonna go away basically. No matter how much data they put in the AI and how much like compute power there will be, there still will need to be a person that will be responsible for it, that will know the business domain, that will know how to code to like verify that the code produced by AI is correct. I kind of lost my what's my point, what I was talking about, but let me check my notes what I want to talk about. So yeah, that was basically culture shock for me. That's how the real projects look like. And I think the first thing you can expect when you're gonna join a new project is that basically you know nothing. You are no one. You know nothing, and the first few months when you join a new team, I think that's the case in most of the companies, that they not gonna actually demand a lot of things from you. They know that you are a new person, that you still have to learn the project, the domain of this project. So they're gonna basically be chilling. For example, they will go give you like bug fixing. You if you have like a bigger project, you will have like separate team that is only doing maintenance work, and you're probably gonna be assigned to it. And like I was, but after a few months of doing it, I was like to my team, bro, like please move me anywhere. And I was moved to the minor release team, because my team is not like my project is not that big, and we basically have two teams. One team is actually three teams, because there's also testing team with manual testers, and I was moved to the minor release, which is actually also the major release team. And for like since May, I was doing new code, new changes to the new features, and maybe not exactly new features, but like new parts of existing features. So basically, you can expect that you're gonna be struggling a lot at first, but and you could when doing the maintenance work, you can feel that basically you are not learning programming, you are not getting better at programming, um, you're just getting better at this specific domain, which is basically to be expected. Mm, if you are like me, and before getting your first job, for example, uh, you would do a lot of projects that you would go from ground up basically, and you will have to learn any like basic like every concept of like of Spring, how to like connect to database, how to do this MVC, how to write tests, and you're gonna need to learn all this stuff before getting the job. And then after getting the job, you actually are not using most of it, at least at the beginning, because you're not writing new code. You are using like existing solutions in the code, and mostly doing the business logic, like fixing, for example, there's like text that is not showing in this case, and there's like some null pointer exception that's happening, and you're gonna feel that you are not learning new stuff. Basically, you're not getting a better as programmer, and I want you to basically ignore these feelings for some time, and just understand that right now you are working on this high level stuff, basically because you're a new person and no one trusts you yet to do anything important, and people want to basically your manager or team lead will want you to learn first of all what this project is about, see how you are handling this easy stuff, uh, like what is the culture in this organization that you joined, and there will be time when you go to do something more interesting. And yeah, so we talked about like the business logic and also legacy code. So for example, the project I joined was started in, I believe, 2020, so it's at least 6 years old now. But it was actually, the code base was copied from the other project that was I think since 2000s, like early 2000s. So it's almost 20 plus years, I think, that is in this code base. So and it's heavily abstracted because my company also has its own internal framework that it's mostly using, that is built upon Spring, of course, and Spring Boot. So the stuff I'm mostly doing is on very high level, and we are not interactive with like low level Spring and Spring Boot and Java concepts, but mostly like doing the business logic and like trying to navigate heavily abstracted legacy code. And like very often we have situations, for example, when we are making fun of the code that was done like 6 years ago, for example, and it seems totally absurd when looking for like a modern perspective. And yeah, so to summarize, I think when you're gonna join a project, you're gonna join, especially that is true. I think it will be true in every language you can choose, but in Java especially, because there's a lot of enterprise and legacy code that's done in Java. Very possible that you're gonna join the code that is very old, and for example in older versions of Java. But I wouldn't worry about older versions of Java because I joined a project that is in Java 11. We're gonna soon migrate to Java 17 and then to Java 21. And of course, you don't have every feature that is in Java 25, but it's not a huge problem. Like it's that you could think that it is, because the core concepts of Java are still there. The core concepts of Spring and Spring Boot are still there. So if you learn newer versions of Java, you could like very quickly, especially when you use AI, for example, you know like some concept that you know how to do it in newer version of Java. You can just ask very specifically your AI how to do it in older versions of Java, and you can manage it from there. And yeah, so if we talked about business logic and legacy code, so if I mentioned AI, I think it's a good starting point to talk about AI. But I see that this episode is almost 20 minutes, but I think we're gonna go for like 30 today, because there's a lot of I want to talk about. And yeah, so AI and its consequences on our job. So basically, when I joined in December, my team and basically our organizations had its own internal system for using AI. It was called Cortex. It basically changed its name now, so I mean it's public information, I think, so I think it's not a problem if I mention the name of it. And basically, it was like a Chat GPT, so in a chat window in web browser uh, that has different models, for example, for Anthropic, ChatGPT, like Google, I think also. And basically, the system was anonymizing data. So basically, if you put some document there, they wanted to make sure that some internal data wouldn't leak to these AI providers. And basically, you couldn't use any AI for any other means. So even though agentic AI was pretty popular back then, we couldn't use it on the project. So you'd have to basically, like a caveman, paste some code to the web browser, then Of course, the context window would finish, and it was a mess, and it wasn't very pleasant to work with. But right now we also have internal system for agentic AI that we use as a provider for OpenCode. So OpenCode is basically this open source version of Cloud Code. If you don't know what it is, so basically we have the full power of agentic AI. With full power, there's this caveat that basically we have some number of tokens, for example, 100 million tokens for Qwen 3.6 that we can use daily. And after you finish these tokens, you can't use AI anymore on the project for this day. So yeah, that's I think very funny thing that you know we are at the point in like the AI development that we are not thinking what AI can do, but basically if it's even worth for AI to do it because we have this limited amount of usage that we can use, and yeah, because you obviously can't use your own subscription, for example, for Cloud Code, because then you would leak this internal data uh, that is in the project. But okay, I noted down that I want to talk about AI in this video, but I think there's a lot of more interesting stuff that we can do about, and everyone is sick already of AI, and I probably will make many more videos about how I use AI and if it's actually replacing developers or if it's just a fun tool that you can use and how much it's speeding up the work. So I'm just gonna say that it was definitely very helpful for me as a new person in the project because many things that I would have to, for example, ask someone or like try to read in the documentation that is in a language that I don't understand, I could just ask AI, for example, to translate some part of the documentation and find something in the code and find me examples of how something was already done in the code, do like a review of the code before I submitted it to like a real PR review. So I was basically much quicker in like getting to know the project. I mean, I still don't know the project very well because it's like super big, super bloated, and there's a lot of features, a lot of like different dependencies on the processes, and yeah. So I think even people who are many years on this project really don't know it well. And most often, if you ask them something, they're like, "Yeah, look, just look at the documentation for this because I don't remember." And yeah. So before we go to how my realistic day looks like as a Java developer, let me take a sip to refresh, and we can go and talk about it. So basically, right now, I think that my most typical day looks like. So I go to office at around 9. Actually, we have a stand up at 8:45. So I have to go quite earlier because quite luckily my office is not that far from my home and it's like 20-25 minutes by bike from the place I live in. So it's actually pretty cool that I don't have to use don't to go by the bus or like tram, but I can just go by the bike. And you probably don't care about it. So let's go to the meet. And so I started the day with daily stand up. We talk about what we did yesterday, what we plan to do. In our group, actually, there is the stand up group is actually there are also testers, so they are also talking about how the testing is going for the new features. Then after we stand up, we go for a coffee, for example, very often, and like then after the coffee, we start to work. So basically, if I pick something new, I got like new change request, for example. So ask AI to translate the change document, the change request document, and summarize it for me. Like explain to me how what we want to change, how we want to change. I also wrote a skill for that that is used by internally by us. So yeah, that's basically that was one thing at least that I contribute to the project. And basically, I ask AI to explain to me what they want me to do, find related places in the code that I should look at, for example, and propose some plan how to implement this change. And then after that, I obviously read it. If I still don't understand it, I try to, for example, ask the AI to translate the whole document for me, and then I can read it and reason by myself about this change. And after that, I go to implementation. So that goes at least till lunch. And after lunch, if I still like didn't finish it, I will try to finish it. And then I go to testing, for example. And after the testing is done, I if I don't wait for example, if it's still quite early, for example, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., I call a technical demo. So basically, we have to do, at least that's like the practice in my company, because that was like the request of the client, that they want to be engaged in the creation of the software. Um, so they want to do a technical demos, basically, where this is like a meeting where I basically show what I did, showed in the application, how it's gonna look like. And on this demo, there is a tester, there's like a senior developer, and there's a person that is representing the client. And basically, that takes like 10, 15 minutes. And after that, we go to the PR review. So I submit the PR review and solve like the stuff. I call someone from some more senior to review this code, and then solve like the comments they leave, and implement the improvements. Then I test if it's still working, and test like failing failing flaky tests on the pipeline that randomly fail, even though they are not related to my change at all. And that's basically the whole day. It's like doesn't probably look like the day in a life of a software developer you could see on TikTok, Instagram Reels, for example. And it's a job, right? It's like you do what you're supposed to do, and basically try to survive in this environment. I imagine working, for example, for a startup could be much more exciting. You are doing a lot of stuff from the scratch, and you have like more ownership, more responsibility, even if you are a new person on the team. Of course, I work for a corporation, quite big corporation, and we have a government client. So code that is written in this environment, and like the organization culture could be quite different from a company that you're gonna work for. For example, if it's like it's a small company, or if it's a startup, or if it's a fund company, for example, like Google, Facebook, which probably are a goal for a lot of people. And also probably in different videos would like to talk about that more. And I think when your job is like not super exciting, I think I noted it down even for the script of this video. Having a pet projects that you do in your spare time, and you basically do something from the scratch, for example, or explore different technologies, even unrelated to a current job, for example, or will basically keep you sane. So basically, I was trying to do a startup. I participate out of hackathons, for example, and right now I'm doing these videos because I think they're like a place for me to yap about what I do, what are my things, and there's not a lot of people that I could talk about this stuff in real life. Of course, I have great colleagues in my work. I basically also recommended my friend from university, and basically forced her to get this job, because I coached her through like the interview process, and was like spamming the recruiter that I know in my company, that basically also recruited me. But we kept in touch after I got this job. I was basically spamming him every day to, what is going on with my friend, if she like will be invited to the interview. In the system, I don't see her anymore. What's happening? So basically, I like kind of forced her to get this job. So it's and she got assigned to a project that is on the same floor as I am. It's like a sister project to my project, and so we can sit together every day and like have fun. go to coffee. I also met another very cool person in this company that we also keep in touch and go to kebab together, for example, after work. And yeah, so I think having exciting things to do outside of the work will be very important um, to keep you sane. And I see that we already hit the 30-minute mark. I think I talked about everything I want to talk about with you today. So let me just give you a quick call to action after the end of this video. If you want to learn how to become a Java developer, basically get me to review your projects, to coach you through like interviews, help you prepare to interviews, watch my course. Basically, I'm recording right now because I just created this community for aspiring Java developers and the Java developers who want to improve their skills, go from junior to mid and senior developer, because that's basically where I'm right now. And I'm like autistically researching stuff, talking with people, asking mentors, and I want to share this knowledge with you. So if you are someone who is either like at the last parts of the university, like last semesters, and want to find a job and know how to go through this whole interview process, how to make your CV, um, I think you'll have much better progress with me looking over your shoulder and like being these few steps before you, telling you what you should do and how you should navigate this whole process. You will have much better progress than you would have to, for example, sit this whole next year and trying to figure it out by yourself. So if you're interested in community for developers that want to like improve, I think the link in the description is for you. So check out the community that I created, and yeah, see you in the next video or in the community. Message me after you join it, and see you next one. Till next time, create some amazing applications.